Wicked problems are increasingly becoming issues for society today because of their social, economic, and political complexity and dynamic nature, involving multiple stakeholders with conflicting interests where knowledge and information of the problem is messy. The wicked problem of the aging population is currently posing considerable economic and demographic problems for governments of many developed countries. The aging population is a wicked problem because of its complexity in developing solutions, the various causes such as low fertility, low immigration, and increased longevity, and the several effects such as prevalence of disease, health issues, and strains on society. The slower growing and aging populations will slow labour forces and therefore impact on material living standards. It will also affect welfare systems in several countries due to increasing pressure from pension payments for the elderly, thus affecting several different stakeholders throughout society. This presentation will discuss 3 possible documented solutions that are currently being worked on, and they include immigration, participation, and policy. All 3 solutions have been developed by government organisations, as this wicked problem is one that largely affects government budgets. Some of the issues raised include the large amount of immigration needed to keep the population constant is enormous and not sustainable. Issues with participation rates in the workforce include the apparent mismatch of demand and supply in the labour market. Policy issues include people's negative views on hiring the elderly will be seen as a risk. Some of the stakeholder implications include immigration can result in positive growth, creating new ideas, new skills, and new jobs. Businesses benefit from the wisdom, expertise, and experience of older persons participating in the workforce. And lastly, new policies can set examples by being leaders in changing the attitudes of society with regards to older workers. This presentation will discuss all of these points in more detail.
There are 3 solutions to the ageing population wicked problem: immigration, participation, and policy.
The first solution is immigration. One solution for dealing with the aging population is to increase and adjust the population age ratio through immigration. The immigration solution is essentially a form of crowdsourcing. In looking at immigration from the perspective of an innovative solution, crowdsourcing or global sourcing describes the way countries around the world are sourcing people from other countries in order to fill a gap, whether it be a population gap or a skills gap. The symptomatic result of an aging and declining population will create a shortage of available human resources for economies and will inevitably raise the demand for immigrants from developing countries where the rate of population growth is much higher. The global sourcing strategy can create new opportunities for organizations to select top talent from countries other than their own and at the same time increase the working age population of their country. However, in order to use immigration effectively, to balance out the aging population, there would need to be large numbers of immigration occurring across countries. Some concerns raised suggest that on average, to keep the European Union population constant, they would need almost 1 million net immigrants per year. Additionally, the pattern of seeking immigrants from overly populated developing countries has a perceived negative impact known as the brain drain on the developing countries. Large increases in immigration will have large flow-on effects for different stakeholders. Stakeholders in this instance could be whole countries, governments, organizations, businesses, and society in general. There is belief that migration may contribute to higher levels of entrepreneurship in the hosting country. Migration of creative and talented people from foreign countries drive economic development in their hosting countries. This has positive implications for the hosting country and stakeholders within that country by driving growth, creating new ideas, new skills, new businesses, new jobs, and therefore increasing the quality of life of citizens living there.
Another solution is to increase labour force participation rates, LFPRs. The Australian government is attempting to increase LFPRs by strengthening an individual's capacity to work through better health and education, improving incentives and removing barriers to undertake work, and increasing the flexibility of the labour market to facilitate greater employment options and encourage job creation. Statistically, this solution has not been successful across the board. Over the next 40 years, the proportion of the population participating in the labour force is expected to decline. Moreover, the number of people aged between 15 and 64 per person aged 65 and over is expected to decline from 4.5 to 2.7 people by 2054-2055. Since 2010, the participation rate has gradually been decreasing due to declining male participation. However, participation from females and those aged 65 and over are projected to increase strongly by 2054-2055. Issues with this solution include the apparent mismatch of demand and supply in the labour market. In particular, what the workers are offering out there, their skills and what they can do for employers, are not always required in the jobs that are being offered. Because different age groups have different needs and productive capacities, a country's economic characteristics will likely change as its population ages. Additionally, changes in patterns of participation and hours worked will also affect LFPRs. Increasing LFPRs has a significant benefit to a range of stakeholders. It will enable faster responses to skill shortages. Businesses benefit from the wisdom, expertise, and experience of the older generation. There are workforce opportunities by expanding service jobs, such as healthcare. And out of the workforce, older Australians provide direct or indirect financial support for adult children or other relatives, provide volunteer services through an organisation, as well as carer activities for immediate family. A third and final solution is government policy.
Restart and a change of attitude. Restart is a government initiative announced from this year's budget. It will encourage workplaces to employ mature age workers, and in return, the company will receive a subsidy of $10,000. To be qualified, individuals must be 50 years or older, been unemployed for 6 months or more, having been received government assistance. The key advantage of this policy is that it shifts mature age individuals receiving income from government to wage income. Although policy is a start, a shift of attitude and expectations will need to happen among society with a strong focus from employers in the workforce. There will need to be an emphasis on companies to lead the change. New businesses, startup companies, and young entrepreneurs should consider setting an example, as they can be quite influential in their first few years and have the power to change thinking. By 2010, there were an estimated 5.5 million Australians aged 55 and over, making up a quarter of the population. This will impact various areas of the economy. This is because this age group will want to access pension, superannuation, and be required additional medical and aged care assistance. The main issues raised will be economically and socially. There will be an exhaustion of areas including healthcare. As older individuals cease work, their health can decrease mentally and physically. Disability support, a flow-on effect to then need disability support including financial and medical, aged care facilities, and government handouts. Socially, people's view on hiring the elderly will be negative and seen as a possible risk. Advantages for companies having mature age workers include gaining higher quality work, punctual employees, having life and work experience, maturity, and good mentors to other employees. These factors can lead to positives for the company, including lower employee turnover rates and possibly lesser salary payments. Companies can begin to set examples and portray a positive image by being the leader in embracing mature age workers and enforcing a change of attitude in society.
An entrepreneurial mindset, combined with entrepreneurial actions, can transform an aging population from being a burden on society and the economy into an asset and positive force for economic and social transformation.
As part of the aging population wicked problem, the older generation has the time to take up social entrepreneurship and invest their passion into work for the greater good. Individuals are able to become entrepreneurs and develop innovative ways of thinking and behaving by looking at the experiences of older people routinely, using health services, and consider improvements from design to policy, routines, or attitudes or services.
Improved cognitive skills derived from higher educational achievement leads to significantly greater economic growth. At an innovative level, an educated and skilled workforce is more likely to be able to generate and implement new ideas and to adapt to new technological and organisational change.
In utilizing existing global processes such as immigration and viewing it from an entrepreneurial and innovative perspective, we can see that a form of crowdsourcing and global sourcing has been used, and the sourcing of skilled migrants has been regarded as stimulating for the dynamics of economic growth. Further, whilst immigration on its own may not be perceived as innovative, the focus on it as a solution to a wicked problem extends into entrepreneurial territory, as the migration of foreign skilled workers and their specialized skills brings a large amount of innovation and entrepreneurship to their hosting country.